Hey everyone, welcome back to GameSpot's E3 stage here in Los Angeles, California. We are having demos up here throughout the week, and we are here with Madden. I'm your host, Mike Mahardy, here with Nick Margarita.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And I'm here with Madden 18 executive producer Seann Graddy.
Hey, everybody.
And creative director Mike Young.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. So at the EA conference the other day, we saw a lot about Madden 18. Most notably is Longshot. It's a new mode that, it's kind of tackling a narrative, a story for this character that we're going to kind of see through. Mike, I want to talk to you about that. You said, we were talking before this, you said this has been in the works for a while, like 4 years or something?
Yeah, we started this journey about 4 years ago. We wanted to, bring more emotion to the game, and we wanted to have a great story. So we worked on the script for 2 years and reworked it, and we wanted to feel that this story was worth bringing to life and making it playable. And then why it took maybe 4 years was I don't think we could have done a story of this ambition without the Frostbite engine, which Madden's getting this year. But when you see the story, you see it's very epic in scope. The number of environments, there's over 40 environments, there's over 45 characters, all shapes and sizes. We have 8-year-old kids, we have 80-year-old men, we have women, the whole gamut. And Madden before that had really just been built and optimized to the action on the field, guys in pads, but when you see this journey that Devin Wade character takes, we couldn't have done it without this engine, and that's why it took so long, but we wanted to get it right.
Yeah, can you talk about that journey that he takes? It showed kind of his whole life, right, that we're seeing unfold before us?
Well, it's really interesting because our story is more of an origin story of Devin Wade, this kid from Texas who is a great high school quarterback, lived his dream and got to go to Texas, was a Longhorn quarterback, and we're showing a little bit that something went off the rails, but now our story picks up at this year's regional combine, and it's the story of Devin and his best friend giving their dream one more shot from the combine to the draft day. So we don't even see Devin end up in the NFL.
Okay, gotcha. It seems like we were talking before the show. It seems like FIFA did the journey, and then NBA Live this year is bringing out the one kind of thing. It seems like it's inspired by FIFA the journey, but you said you've been working on it for even longer, since before FIFA 17 brought the journey, with Alex Hunter. But it's interesting. What was the pull to actually bring this kind of narrative, this story, into a sports game? Because across the board, EA sports games are kind of doing this, and it seems like. It seems like it's bringing a new crowd in that might not, might typically be intimidated by these sports games that they don't know much about. Yeah. But also, it just seems like it's lending more context to, and character to these games.
Yeah, and I think my inspiration was I am a huge sports gamer. I grew up, wanting to be in the NHL. Didn't work out, obviously. But I've always played all the sports games. But I'm also a story gamer, and I found myself wanting that quality of storytelling that I'd seen a Telltale game or a Last of Us that made it so much more relatable. Like Last of Us, you think about, it's really a story of a father and a daughter, and it makes you care about going on that long journey with them. And I felt like sports games can have that, and that's what we went about trying to do. And your second point is we treated this like a campaign mode. We have so many NFL fans that are gamers that are intimidated by Madden. Year after year, they want to be part of this culture. I think this is a great mode to allow them to come in because so many of the game mechanics, if you're a gamer, you've played them. You've branching dialogue, quick time events. We've made so many of these little mini games and brought to life all these little interactions along the way. So it feels like a playable movie, and I think that's going to be very welcoming, and story will bring more people in because they just care about characters and games, and it just happens to be set in this football world.
One of the cool things about that we haven't talked much about, because it's a movie quality experience you can play, it is super seamless. These guys have done something quite innovative, I think, where it feels like the game never loads. Once you go into the story, it just starts to run. You're going into environments and playing game mechanics, you're coming out and seeing a cinematic, it's just very seamless throughout, which I just don't think that's been done in sports, but let alone really in games. So it's quite an impressive feat.
It was really important to have that quality because you find that you'd be really immersed in this emotional moment or this action moment, and then all of a sudden you load out for 30 seconds, your attention wanes. We wanted to keep you so engrossed in the story that we had this huge tech investment to pull this off, and it is a subtle thing, but you don't feel like you ever want to get out. You're just in it like a movie.
Sounds like cinematic, right? Like you must have approached it from kind of like how are you going to transition from scene to scene? How is this going to feel like one singular thing rather than these discrete chapters?
Yeah, and transitions were so important. So, the musical score going across scenes and having establishing shots so you know where these characters are, and all of it, it just has this quality and craftsmanship to it, I think. The way we shot it like a film, similar to how Avatar films, digital films, but we have our cinematographer, Brian Murray's actually got a camera and he's filming our scenes like a movie. The star power in Longshot is incredible. We have Mahershala Ali, who just won the Academy Award.
Yeah.
As Devin Wade's father. We have J.R. Lemon, who played in the NFL. He's an actor on the night shift. He has such a great performance as Devin Wade. And then we got Scott Porter from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
So just an amazing cast. And then we have amazing cameos by guys like Dan Marino, Chad Ochocinco. So I think there's that other side of it, which is the fandom of feeling like you spent time with a Dan Marino that we're delivering too, not just the story.
Yeah, the last Dan Marino cameo I can think of was Ace Ventura.
Yeah, this one's
Another football story.
This one's less funny.
Story, yeah.
But
Lace was out, Dan. Lace was out.
what's cool is he plays himself, and he's sharing these personal stories with Devin like he's a big brother. So he's this mentor to Devin Wade, who really has to overcome some obstacles to get to the NFL. But it's really cool to feel like you're playing catch with Dan Marino, being coached by Dan Marino. It adds a level of impact and NFL immersion to this.
Yeah, I imagine like you just mentioned Friday Night Lights. I was going to ask like what kind of influences are like affecting this story?
Yeah, so people that have been playing it often say, oh, this feels like I'm playing Friday Night Lights. Obviously, we have the Scott Porter connection, but really it's about the setting. Small town, Texas football, very intimate. We get to know so many of these people in the town. We're playing high school football games in this. But the tone is really inspired by Friday Night Lights, things like Hard Knocks. Probably the biggest movie influence was Good Will Hunting, their kind of story structure. Devin Wade is similar to the Matt Damon character in that he's kind of fighting against his own potential.
Okay.
And he's got this uber supportive, Ben Affleck played the uber supportive, loyal best friend that wants his friend to succeed more than he wants himself to succeed. And that's where the similarities between Devin and Colt come in.
Cool. It sounds ambitious to say the least.
It is ambitious.
Yeah, definitely.
That's 4 years, right? It's very ambitious for sure.
Yeah, and I guess like I did want to like I'm not sure what you can and can't talk about, but outside of Longshot, although that does sound like the most interesting thing that Madden has going for it as far as like innovation and whatnot, but like outside of that, what are some like big changes you wanted to make to the core Madden like game modes?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is Mutt Squads, which is on the floor at EDU Play this week. It is the return of online team play, which is a top requested feature from our community and from our fans. The last time we had it in the game was back in Madden 25. We've brought it back in a bigger, better way inside of our most played mode, which is Ultimate Team. It's 3 versus 3 human control players in traditional 11v11 Madden football. The way that it's maybe unique and different now is that there's 3 different roles that you can play as. You can play as the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. The head coach is kind of a nice entry-level way to get into it if you're not a great Madden player. And from your Ultimate Team, you're bringing your stadium and your uniform. So you don't have to really make any big decisions. Offensive coordinator is going to bring in their offensive lineup, and they're going to call offensive plays, as you might guess. They'll be the quarterback at the start of the play, and then the defensive coordinator will call defensive plays. So we see our kind of Ultimate Team fans bringing some of their friends in, kind of training them up how to play, and then you merge your teams together. We get asked a lot, like, why do it inside of Ultimate Team? And the reason is there's just like a wrapper of replayability inside of it. Because you're earning stuff all the time, you're getting rewards for what you do, you're building your kind of team together and then sharing that with your friends.
Cool. Nick,
And then
you
I
have any
guess,
questions?
aside from that kind of competitive mode, going towards the more traditional style, you guys made the move to Frostbite this year. So what kind of improvements were made possible by moving to Frostbite?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, Longshot, frankly, would not be possible at the scale that we did it, as Mike said. So it certainly allowed that. The Journey pulled it off inside of the Frostbite engine as well. For us, the visuals just kind of leap off the page. We feel Madden 17 was a really strong-looking game. We feel like it stands up with any other sports title and other games in the industry. So we first and foremost had to beat that visually with Frostbite engine. But really, what the engine does is allow us to approach photorealism. And that's what we feel our goal is. Some of the things you're going to see in the game that are new are some of our pre-game sequences, have stadium exteriors with fireworks going off. You're going to see the players running into the field and kind of celebrating like they do. And it's just the lighting, the character details are just quite epic and approaching that photorealism goal that we're shooting for.
Yeah, and then I guess gameplay-wise, I know last year one of the biggest improvements was, breaking tackles, kind of controlling your offensive players and defensive players, where if you tried to tackle me, I could get away from that. Are there any other new improvements that make players more mobile or things like that this year for Madden 18?
Yeah, we always kind of improve the animation across the board. We do a lot of mocap every year. We add new animations. We fine-tune kind of all the mechanics and how they feel. Are they reacting to your button input? So that, as the players have played it on the floor this week, they've noticed that. They've called that out. The two kind of specific gameplay features that people are excited about, one is an advanced target passing mechanic, where essentially you can identify a receiver you want to throw to and then move a little targeting system to an exact spot on the field. And then the receiver and the defender, of course, will both run at the ball. So it is a challenging mechanic. We call it a skill gap mechanic, where you're going to have to lab with it a bit to really figure out how to use it. Right. But once you figure it out, it's a pretty cool mechanic. And the other one is on defense. Essentially, we're telling you who you're supposed to cover at all times, whether you're in man coverage or zone coverage. It's a visual assist element that's very similar to what you see in an NBA game. You'll have like a little line with a circle drawn to the guy you're supposed to cover. Sure. So it makes sense to add that to football. So now you can get off the defensive line, which is where everybody plays on defense because it's safe. It's okay to go play a linebacker. It's okay to play a cornerback because we'll help you out.
I guess I have one last question. How do you go about balancing a game in which OBJ exists? You're sitting with two Giants fans.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because after that big catch, everybody was feeling like we had too many of these big catches in the game. We were so inspired by that catch, obviously. Well, I'll speak to that. So one way we do it, we've got 3 play styles this year. One is arcade, which is new, and you're going to get a lot of OBJ catches in arcade. My young 10-year-old son wants to play a game like that. We've got simulation play style, which is kind of traditional Madden that our fans are used to. I mean, Madden is a simulation game at the end of the day. And then we've got a competitive play style that kind of removes some of the dice rolls under the hoods and makes it more about your stick skills, and that's how you play online. So that's how we balance it out.
Any updated celebrations as well?
There is. I think you've probably heard the NFL's loosened the rules.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a few new celebrations in the game, yeah.
Looking forward to that. Cool. Well, Seann and Mike, thanks so much for coming on our stage.
I love it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, have a good rest of the show.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Cool. For everybody watching at home, we will have more demos outside of Madden. We have FIFA. We have NBA Live. We will have a lot of other kind of games coming out of GameSpot's E3 stage throughout the week. So stay tuned. We'll see you then.